Good morning. I'm Dr. Madhavram Balakrishnan. I work in the Department of Regulation and Pre-Qualification and in the Pharmacovigilance team in the WHO headquarters in Geneva. Today we are going to be discussing about vaccine safety monitoring and management of adverse events following immunization and injection safety. At the end of this module, you should be able to explain the unique and different contexts in which pharmacovigilance will have to be implemented for COVID-19 vaccination and also explain the key aspects of injection safety. Let's now look at the safety and pharmacovigilance challenges with the COVID-19 vaccines. As you all know, COVID-19 vaccines have multiple platforms made by multiple manufacturers with different contents and presentation forms, and also their appearances are also variable. There is different strategies for vaccination at the same time. And also, we should remember that they also employ previously unlicensed new technologies. The SARS-CoV-2 is a novel pathogen with many unknowns. It has varying capacities between and within countries to identify, report, investigate, and respond to adverse events following immunization. Now let's see who are the key stakeholders we have to engage. The key stakeholders include the national government agencies or technical committees, which include the ministries of health, the national regulatory authorities, the national immunization programs, the national pharmacovigilance centers, the national immunization technical advisory groups, and the national AEFI review committees. The other stakeholders who are also involved in vaccine safety include the vaccine manufacturers, the academia, healthcare providers, beneficiaries, media, and non-governmental organizations, and sometimes professional bodies. Now, let's look at some of the key definitions which are important for us to understand before we go more in the details. So, let's first look at what an adverse event following immunization is. It is any untoward medical occurrence which follows immunization and does not necessarily have a causal relationship with the usage of the vaccine. A serious AEFI is one that results in death, hospitalization, prolongation of existing hospitalization, persistent or significant disability or incapacity, causes a congenital anomaly or a birth defect, or is life-threatening, or it has caused a significant medical condition. Now let's continue with our definitions. Let's see what a cluster is. The cluster is the occurrence of two or more cases of the same adverse event related in time, place, or vaccine administered. A signal is information that occurs from one or multiple sources, and it actually suggests a new potentially causal association or new aspect of a known association, either adverse or beneficial, that is judged sufficient to justify verificatory action. Now let's look at the different types of adverse events. We actually call them the classification of adverse events. An adverse event would be a vaccine product related reaction if it is caused by a vaccine due to its inherent properties of the product. It is a vaccine quality defect related reaction if it is precipitated by a quality defect of the vaccine lot or batch. It could also occur if there is a defect in the device provided by the manufacturer. An immunization error related reaction is caused by inappropriate handling, prescribing, or administration of the vaccine. An immunization anxiety related reaction is now called the immunization stress related response, occurs because of anxiety due to vaccination. And a coincidental event is caused by something other than a vaccine product, immunization error, or anxiety. Now let us look at a new definition, which is actually the adverse event of special interest. Now, this is not an adverse event following immunization, but an adverse event of special interest. The adverse event of special interest is actually a pre-specified medically significant event that has the potential to be causally associated with a vaccine product that needs to be carefully monitored and confirmed by special studies. It includes several serious events where there is a proven association with immunization that is true for most, if not all, vaccines, when there is a proven association with a known vaccine platform or an adjuvant that is being used in any COVID-19 vaccine, when there is a theoretical concern based on immunopathogenesis of COVID-19 disease, when there is a theoretical concern related to viral replication during SARS-CoV-2 infection, or when there is a theoretical concerns because it has been demonstrated in an animal model with one or more candidate vaccine platforms. It's crucial that this information is also fed back to the relevant manufacturer. Adaptation of vaccine safety surveillance systems. It's important for all of us to ensure that systems have additional capacity to detect AEFI in adults and also AESIs. It's also important to ensure that staff have the additional capacity to investigate AEFI, establish communication mechanism to rapidly communicate any safety concern, track safety monitoring, and ensure that staff are trained on special handling of vaccines to avoid programmatic errors. This emphasis on adults is being given because primarily immunization programs have been focusing on children and pregnant mothers. So what is the recommended capacity for all countries? It is important to ensure routine passive AEFI surveillance is established. In other words, there must be a spontaneous AEFI reporting system that is capable of handling and managing adverse events with increased frequency and severity, particularly in adults. It's important to investigate potential AEFIs, perform systematic causality assessment of AEFIs, use AEFI and safety surveillance systems to detect potential safety signals or clustering of events. It's also important to develop a comprehensive plan to respond rapidly and address concerns of health workers and maintain community confidence. Now let us look at additional surveillance activities to increase the functionality of the surveillance system. The first is active surveillance by designated staff who visit health facilities to identify suspected cases of AESI. The next one is stimulated passive surveillance, which can be conducted by training and sending reminders to health providers to report AEFI and AESI. And also, one can do sentinel site surveillance where selected reporting units that are likely to see patients with adverse events have the capacity to investigate the report. Let's have a look at the AEFI surveillance system or the AEFI surveillance cycle, which actually forms the backbone of reporting adverse events following immunization. The first step in the reporting of AEFI is AEFI detection. Now, the foundation for this is established at the time of vaccination when the vaccinator informs the recipient about the different type of adverse events to anticipate. If such events occur, the recipient reports the case to the vaccinator or to a care provider. Sometimes the care provider detects the adverse event by himself or herself. All cases which are thus detected are notified to the health system, and all notified cases are then reported. Now, what is the meaning of this word reported or reporting as it is mentioned in the slide? It means that the reporter should be completing an AEFI reporting form and send the completed reporting form to the next level supervisor. Once the supervisor inspects the AEFI reporting form, he has to take a decision whether this case needs to be investigated in detail. Remember, all serious AEFI cases have to be investigated in detail. The data which is collected from AEFI reporting forms are analyzed using either software or even simple Excel databases can be used for doing data analysis. The serious cases which are investigated are sent to a committee of experts who look at the findings of the investigation and determine the cause of the adverse event. And the findings of the investigation and the causality assessment is provided as feedback to all the people who are the stakeholders in AEFI surveillance. Now let's look at the recommended tool for AEFI surveillance. The AEFI reporting form is used to collect basic reports of all AEFI cases that are notified. For COVID-19, the standard AEFI reporting form has been modified so that it includes the pregnancy and lactation status of the mother and also the name of the manufacturer and the brand name. The AEFI line list collates the details in the reporting form. And in case of COVID-19, the standard line list also includes the name of the manufacturer and the brand name, in addition to mentioning the pregnancy and the lactation status in case the patient is a woman. The AEFI investigation form is used to collect detailed information for serious AEFI cases. This has been adapted to include COVID-19 specific questions. The AEFI causality assessment methodology and also the tools have not been changed. It has been used to determine the classification of serious AEFI cases, and the same AEFI causality assessment methodology has to be retained unchanged. Now let's see how the vaccine safety data flows for COVID-19. The first stage for AEFI reporting starts with the AEFI reporting form being completed by the reporter. This form can be submitted to the district either in the form of a paper format, or electronic tools can be used to submit this to the district. The data which is submitted to the district in the reporting form is inspected by the supervisor, and a decision is made whether to investigate or not, and then it is then transmitted to the district and the province level, where it is sent to the National Regulatory Authority, the immunization program, and the disease surveillance. The data from the subnational level is then transmitted to the national database through electronic tools, or it is transmitted by other methods which is suitable for the country. And there it is reviewed by the National Immunization Program and the National Regulatory Authority. The National Regulatory Authority also gets information from the manufacturers on adverse events which have been picked up by the manufacturers. The data which is coming into the national database is then transformed into a format called the E2B format, where it will be able to be transmitted to the global database, which is actually the WHO program for international drug monitoring. This program is actually called the VG-Base, and it is located at the Uppsala Monitoring Center in Sweden. The data in the WHO program for international drug monitoring is reviewed by the pharmacovigilance team and the pre-qualification team, and then it is sent to the relevant committees. How to ensure safe vaccinations by providing safe injections. It's important to ensure adequate and proper hand hygiene before vaccinating each recipient, and also after vaccinating each recipient. It is important to make sure that safe injection equipment is available at the time of vaccination. The handling of those injection equipment must also be carefully done, and most importantly, the contaminated injection equipment should be properly disposed. The links which are provided on the right side of the slide gives you further access and information on where other resources are available. So let's summarize with a few key messages. Several COVID-19 vaccines use new technologies that have not been previously licensed. COVID-19 vaccines target a unique pathogen. The many unknowns make safety monitoring unique and complex. Extraordinary global and national efforts are required to ensure real-time monitoring, knowledge sharing, and communications mechanisms which have to be set up prior to vaccine introduction. The WHO Vaccine Safety Surveillance Manual provides detailed guidance on preparedness. And also, the WHO has brought in a separate manual for COVID vaccine safety because of the urgency and novelty for COVID-19 vaccination, and additional steps would be required, particularly to ensure that injection safety will also be an important element as a part of the safety requirements. To summarize, it is important to address the vaccine safety and pharmacovigilance challenges which are unique to COVID-19. The Vaccine Safety Manual, which has been provided by WHO, actually addresses the key vaccine pharmacovigilance considerations in the COVID-19 vaccine introduction context. It's very important to ensure that safe vaccines are provided and at the time of vaccine administration. Thank you.